stories behind some of the legacy dungeons and raids that drop beloved mounts. In the previous episode, we journeyed through the haunted ruins of Stratholme and uncovered the dark fate of Baron Rivendell. Now, we move forward into the era of the Burning Crusade, a time of shattered worlds, fallen kingdoms, and corrupted magic. In this video, we'll delve into the lore of Sethekk Halls, where the Arakkoa zealots guard the prized Raven Lord, Karazhan, Medivh's cursed tower that echoes with the ghosts of the past, Magisters Terrace, where Kael'thas makes his final desperate stand, and Tempest Keep, the crystalline fortress that harbors one of the most legendary mounts of all, Ashes of Alar. From haunted halls to cosmic citadels, these places don't just reward adventurers with rare mounts, they are steeped in the tragedies and triumphs that shaped Outland itself. Let us begin. Sethekk Halls. Oakendon is a former Draenei holy site and horde fortress in the middle of the bone wastes in Outland's Terrorgar forest. It was a holy ground for Draenei burial until the Shadow Council took over, summoned an extremely powerful demon as old as time itself, and destroyed half of Terrorgar forest in the process. Different factions now fight for power in this magical spot. Ethereals suck the arcane energy from the mana tombs. The Burning Legion harvests souls inside the Okenai crypts. Arakkoa zealots work dark magic in the Sethekk Halls, and the Shadow Council plots its domination of Outland from within the Shadow Labyrinth. Sethekk Halls is a wing of the Oakendon instance. The entrance is on the east side of the Ring of Observance. It is populated by renegade Arakkoa and led by the insane Talon King Ikis, who also carries the Shadow Labyrinth key for the Shadow Labyrinth. The Sethekk are renegades who broke away from Sketis at the instance of Ikis and Darkweaver Sith and believe themselves to be the true servants of the mysterious master of all Arakkoa. When Oakendon exploded due to the summoning of Murmur in the Shadow Labyrinth, Ikis and Sith led their followers to Oakendon, believing this to be a sign of their master's return. There they remain still searching for the master in the temple's ruins. Magisters Terrace. During the Scourge invasion of Kael'thas, after Darkan Drathir killed half of the convocation of Silvermoon, the traitorous High Elf hid in a hole of the Magisters Terrace and started a spell of biting the Sunwell, and shot a fireball outside to let his master Arthas know that the time has come to invade Kael'thas. Situated on a ridge in northeastern Kael'thas, Magisters Terrace serves as a convenient base for Kael'thas and his underlings as they assist the proceedings in the Sunwell Plateau. Kael'thas stands poisoned to desecrate the ancient lands of his people with an incomparable evil. Should he succeed, the Legion's darkness will rapidly spread to all corners of Azeroth, extinguishing everything in its path. Karazhan. Karazhan, also known as Medivh's Tower, is an abandoned citadel located on a nexus of ley lines in southern Deadwind Pass. The tower is best known for its last known occupant, Medivh, the last guardian of Tirisfal. After Medivh was killed by Khadgar, Anduin Lothar and Garona, the tower sealed itself off from the rest of the world. But recently, Karazhan has reawakened. An evil presence has taken the tower as its own, its halls crawling with spirits and demons, and with the shade of Medivh, his power being so great that his magic still echoes through the halls of Karazhan. It is impossible to set eyes upon Karazhan without reflecting the dark saga of its master. As befitting his title, the last guardian of Tirisfal had amassed a vast collection of writings and artifacts that dwarfs even that of the Kirin Tor. The tower is vast, dangerous, with ghosts everywhere, and where some of the world's most powerful and dangerous artifacts are stored, brought for years by the Dark Riders. Following the third invasion of the Burning Legion, Khadgar moved into the tower Sethekk, draining the land of life with Ultales, the Deadwood harvester. The tower was built in secret by the guardian Egwene, using Aluneth around 600 years before the First War, after she grew increasingly paranoid and hostile to her fellow members of the Council of Tirisfal, a result of the dark influence that the spirit of Sargeras was exerting over her. The tower acted both as a refuge from the Council and as a conduit for the potent ley line in the region, through which Egwene could siphon power as needed. Egwene's son Medivh eventually took up residence in Karazhan, but mused that the explosion and the construction only happened because he would eventually arrive. As the structure was built atop a nexus of potent ley lines, the energies that coursed through Karazhan sometimes wrapped reality in the region. Because of that, the mage Arexes came to Deadwind Pass to study the tower and its powers, experimenting with their warding magics outside Karazhan, attempting to neutralize the tower's strange powers. In time, a small human village and its church flourished around the tower, but both ended up abandoned at some point. Karazhan, the last guardian. Prior to the First War, the tower was inhabited by Medivh, his steward Moroes, and his cook named Cook. Though Medivh was the greatest wizard of his day and humanity's intended custodian, Medivh was secretly possessed by the dark spirit of Sargeras, the destroyer of worlds. This led him to sometimes being sick and indisposed, and as such a group of would-be clerics once came to the tower to minister to his needs, but also to steal some of his valuables. But another time, Medivh also revealed himself to be very influenced by the demon when he cursed a group of charlatan merchants who tried to sell him fraudulent magical artifacts by transforming them into the Dark Riders. At the Council of 6 BS, the Kirin Tor sent agents to infiltrate Karazhan and spy on the young Medivh, taking part in his parties in the magical tower. The spies, however, always left empty-handed. Medivh made sure of it. The Violet Eye, a secret sect founded by the Kirin Tor of Dalaran, was later assigned to keep an eye on Karazhan and to spy on the Guardian and his works. Among their agents set inside, Koren the blacksmith was under their pay and pretended to serve Medivh. The spy Kiana was also present in the tower, where she was staying up at the guest chambers. Corrupting Medivh more and more, Sargeras eventually opened the dark portal to allow the orcs to wage war upon the kingdoms of Azeroth, while also himself murdering the suspecting members of the Order of the Tirisfal. Medivh hid this corruption behind a lavish lifestyle, inviting many nobles to party down in Karazhan. This didn't stop the dragon Arkanagos to travel to the tower with Egwene to confront Medivh about his acts. That night the tower was crowded with nobles who were expecting a gala, and so Egwene entered alone at first, hoping to convince Medivh to give up his power peacefully. After Medivh revealed that said power was that of Sargeras, he and Egwene began to fight, shaking the towers to its foundations and causing the would-be revelers to flee. Arkanagos was struck down by the spirit of Sargeras. As the duel between mother and son continued, Egwene slowly gained the upper hand until Medivh resorted to draining the life of nearby all occupants of the tower in order to fuel his strength. Now stronger but still unable to kill Egwene, Medivh instead banished her from his side, leaving Karazhan a haunted tower of madness populated by ghosts and after-images. Khadgar later joined the tower as Medivh's apprentice. Garona Half-Orcan also resided here as an emissary at the same time as Khadgar's apprenticeship. As a result of the recent events and the region's already weakened reality, many strange and disturbing visions lurked within the tower, and Moroes was now wearing blinders to avoid seeing them. In the months that follow, Karazhan became darker and more twisted. Tormented spirits floated through the hallways in greater numbers than ever before. From time to time, Khadgar and Garona were subjected to vivid, horrific visions of the past, present and future. Khadgar suspected this was all due to Medivh. The Guardian's mood swings had vanished entirely. That was a relief, but only at first. His rage had disappeared, but it seemed to have been replaced with nothing at all. It was as if Medivh had simply lost the ability to feel anything. As he withdrew from his humanity, the fabric of reality in Karazhan seemed to unravel. The visions were ultimately ended when the most of Karazhan's ambient magical power was absorbed by the resurrected Medivh, reducing it to a pile of stone in the remote reaches, its power taken to serve the prophet. As the war progressed, Medivh fought against Sarkera's control. The raging conflict within him finally drove the wizard irrevocably insane until his childhood friend, Anduin Lothar, aided Medivh's young apprentice Khadgar in storming Karazhan and slaying their former comrade. Since that day, a terrible curse has pervaded both the tower and the lands around it, casting a dark pall over Deadwind Pass and the region that is now known as Duskwood. After the fall of Karazhan, the Kirin Tor dispatched an assembly of mages to set the tower and seize all items of importance for the purposes of research. It was then that ATS was discovered and brought back to Dalaran. Karazhan, the Burning Crusade. At some point, the Tower of Karazhan had sealed itself and several agents of the Eye were trapped there. Inside, the agents died for unknown reasons, and the magic of the tower notably prevented Koren's soul from finding eternal rest. Before the closing, demonic agents of the Burning Legion managed to enter Karazhan, as the tower is a portal into twisting nether, a beacon shining into other worlds. Since this time, the mages of Violet Eye have been guarding and examining the tower and its secrets, as it is their mission to ensure that the tower doesn't fall into the wrong hands, or the possible repercussions would be unthinkable. With the help of the adventurers, Archmage Aldurus discovered that the haunted tower was no longer emanating all manner of arcane currents, but instead became a huge energy vacuum with a very faint demonic echo. With the help of Khadgar and somehow of Medivh in the past, the adventurers managed to reform the Master's Key. Once Karazhan was reopened, Archmage Aldurus set the adventurer to assess the situation inside and to find Kiana's log, an encoded log of all her observations, and advise them to seek help from the ghost Koren. In the meantime, the Violet Eye sent 3 agents to track down Medivh's journal, but none of them came out, and the adventurer was thus set to accomplish the mission. Inside the tower, the agents, Ravi and Gradav Kamsis, somehow succumbed to the dark magic of Karazhan during their investigation, dooming their souls to relive their final moments forever. Despite the curse, they still managed to help the adventurer, who later brought back the diary to Archmage Aldurus. The adventurers of the Horden Alliance later raided the tower, defeating its ghostly inhabitants and Prince Malchezaar at the very top of the tower in the nether space. Karazhan Scourge Invasion. During the second Scourge Invasion, Medan, Medivh's son, entered the tower and met with the avatar of his father, who told him about his story. Later, Karazhan was infiltrated by Tenris Mirkblood, an elven priest of the Scourge. The Urgent Dawn sent Alliance and Horde heroes to kill him and learn the Lich King's orders. Karazhan Legion. After witnessing the return of the Burning Legion, Khadgar entered Karazhan in order to find knowledge against the demons. He was approached by the spirit of Medivh, who who said that it is time to fulfill his destiny by becoming Azeroth's next guardian. Khadgar refused, and the spirit revealed himself to be in fact a dreadlord in disguise. The Archmages defeated him, stating that Karazhan will not become a stand for the demons. Later, after learning of the Pillars of Creation from Magni Bronzebeard in Ulduar, Khadgar returns to Karazhan with an adventurer to find their location, as no knowledge of the Pillars had been entrusted to the Guardian of Tirisfal. But Khadgar's reminiscing about his apprenticeship years ago is interrupted when an echo of Medivh himself interferes and brings down Khadgar's wards around the tower, allowing the Burning Legion to invade and try to stop them from fighting the Pillar's location. Khadgar is able to alter the tower's defenders to fight off the Burning Legion, while he and the adventurer retrieve a book authored by Alodai, the first guardian, which contains information on the Pillars of Creation. By this time, Khadgar considers the Guardian's library at the least to be his. Karazhan returned to Karazhan. Sometime later, Moroes had been overlooking the neighborhood of Karazhan and noticed the forces of Burning Legion marching towards Karazhan, which he saw as an omen heralding the return of Medivh. He invited them into the tower. The Legion intended to use the tower as a conduit to each and every one of the countless wards that they had consumed during their Burning Crusade, but Medivh severed the connection between Karazhan and those wards. After he was killed by Moroes, Darius became a ghost and was granted the rank of mage posthumously. He then received the new charge of sprucing up Karazhan in order for it to be a bit more inviting in case Khadgar had further need of it. Now able to enter the tower safely, Darius enlisted the help of the adventurers in his tasks to clear the tower of the vermin inside, to calm the ghosts in the opera hall, and to disable the curator once more. After the Argos campaign, Khadgar returned here. Magni later visited him, and studying the tomes here, they came up with a plan to destabilize the sword of Sargeras in Silithus, the Hund. Karazhan Battle for Azeroth. At the time of the Fourth War, the Black Prince Rathion journeyed to Karazhan, where he received information from the library that allowed him to craft a potion that could cleanse someone of the old god's corruption. While there, he encountered the Shade of Medivh, who encouraged him that while Rathion could not change the past, he could forge a new legacy to live for the future. Tempest Keep. Tempest Keep is a former naaru fortress in the Netherstorm in Outland. This crystalline fortress is now ruled by Kael'thas Sunstrider, the Lord of Blood Elves, and dominated by a score of his brethren. The structure is divided into 3 wings, satellites of the gigantic structure, with the 4th wing, the Exotar, now in the world of Azeroth as the Draenei capital. The 3 remaining wings are differentiated by the different color themes: Botanica, light blue, Arcatraz, red, and Mechanar, light purple. Tempest Keep history. The mighty Tempest Keep was created by the enigmatic naaru, sapient beings of pure energy and the sworn enemies of the Burning Legion. As a base of operations for the naaru, the structure itself possesses the technology to teleport through alternate dimensions, traveling from one location to another in the blink of an eye. Right before the invasion of Outland began, Khadgar and Velen reached out to the naaru independently, both seeking aid against the dark forces amassing on Outland. The Army of the Light heard their pleas, but the army's battles with the Legion were costly and ceaseless, so they could not spare soldiers to protect Outland. Instead, Atal, Muru, and Oros volunteered to help the people of Outland and arrived with Tempest Keep. With Outland serving as the strategic battlefront in the ongoing Burning Crusade, the naaru used Tempest Keep to reach the Shattered Lands. However, when the naaru set out from their stronghold, Prince Kael'thas and his blood elves quickly raided the dimensional fortress and assumed control over its satellite structures. some unknown purpose, Kael'thas manipulates the keep's otherworldly technologies, using them to harness the chaotic energies of the Netherstorm itself. Pieces of Tempest Keep were harvested and used to create the mana forges. Though Kael'thas and his minions maintain a tight hold on the keep, a band of Draenei hijacked one of its satellite structures, the Exotar, and used it to escape Outland. In seeking out other worlds, the Draenei, led by the ancient prophet Velen, hoped to find allies who would stand with them against the Legion and its nihilistic crusade. The Exotar was damaged in the escape and eventually crash-landed on Azeroth. And so, our journey through the broken worlds of Outland comes to a close. The echoes of Karazhan fade, the halls of Oakington fall silent, and the embers of Tempest Keep flicker in the Netherstorm. But our hunt is far from over. In the next chapter, we travel north, to the frozen continent of Northrend, where death does not sleep. There, in the shadow of Ice-Crowned Citadel, the Lich King awaits, astride one of the most coveted mounts in all of Warcraft, invincible. Until then, rest well